Hi, my name is Ruchi NP Singh, and I'm an IBDP English A language and literature educator. Today in this video, we will be looking at concepts in the IB and how do they help us to understand representation, identity, and various other aspects of a text. So when we are evaluating a text, we are not just focused on what do we see. As an IB student, you're expected to look at the deeper layers and look at what does this text truly mean and imply. The deeper you dig, the better your score is going to be. Concepts in the IB. How can the same event communicate 4 different stories? We'll take one example and understand that. So in the IB, we focus on what is textual, contextual, and intertextual. These are different ways of looking at a text. Let me break that down for you. In the IB, we do not analyze texts in isolation. We approach them from different lenses: textual, contextual, and intertextual. A textual reading focuses only on the text. You look at the authorial choices, you look at the language, structure, imagery, visual features to understand how meaning is constructed. When you're looking at the contextual lens, you look at the circumstances that surround that text. We explore how historical, cultural, social, political contexts influence both the creation and the interpretation of the text. When we look at intertextuality, in this, the reading recognizes that the texts are in conversation with one another. We compare ideas, themes, representations to deepen our understanding of the meaning. The 7 concepts in the IB are identity, culture, creativity, communication, perspective, transformation, and representation. When you look at these different concepts, they help you to understand the text from multiple perspectives and at a deeper level. I'm going to take this example of the funeral of Pope Francis in 2025. There is one event and there are 4 different stories told from it. Let's look at it how. When you look at this example, the concept of culture says how a text relates to the context of its reproduction and reception and to the respective values, beliefs, and attitudes which are prevalent in them. When you look at identity, we look at the multiplicity of perspectives, voices, and characters that are encountered in a text. And when we look at representation, it is the way in which language and literature relate to that reality. Let's take the first example of the coverage of Reuters of this event. In this image, we look at Mr. Trump and Zelensky sitting in conversation with each other. You cannot see anyone else. There is an eye contact that has been maintained. We focus on the body language, and this appears to be a private conversation. When you focus on this image, you see Trump and Zelensky sitting face to face. The picture is of close framing. You do not see the coffin anywhere. So this really isn't about the Pope. It is about diplomacy. So here the representation tells you that the funeral is a diplomatic opportunity. So it's not really about the funeral. The focus of this image is on the diplomatic opportunity. Next is the coverage given by BBC. Now look at this image. The point of view is different, the perspective is different. BBC's homepage emphasizes enormous crowds. The location was St. Peter's Square. It looks like a religious ceremony. The atmosphere created tells you that. So what becomes important because of that? The event becomes important. We don't see any politicians, at least from close. There are no politicians, there is no conflict. The representation here becomes a global religious movement. Now, let's look at how The Guardian covered the same event. Now, in this image, we are looking at world leaders. Trump, Zelensky, we are looking at diplomacy. There is a focus on political significance. And in some of the images, the Pope wasn't even centered. Have the leaders of France, Britain, and US and Ukraine standing and talking to each other. Again, in this image, you're looking at a number of world leaders who are standing. You could see them. So here, the representation works that the funeral works as a geopolitical theater. In another example, the images taken by Reuters, which is a Getty image, it's a top-down camera angle, and you can see common people. We are looking at mourners. We are looking at people who are praying. There are candles. There's an emotion. You can see the coffin here. So it's about human grief. The representation here becomes the collective grief of humanity at this loss. Look at this image. We are looking at common people. So this very clearly talks about the collective grief that the world witnessed. No politicians, nothing else. Now, focus on the different publications. In Reuters, we saw Trump-Zelensky diplomatic meeting. It answers the IB concept of perspective. The BBC coverage showed a global religious ceremony. So the IB concept becomes culture. In the Associated Press of Getty Images, the focus was on human grief and mourners. So the IB concept becomes identity. In The Guardian, we looked at the political intersection with religion. The IB concept becomes representation. So it's not about what you see. It's about what is the point of view and perspective and the concept that is being addressed. So look at the concepts in action. As a prospective IB student or even a current IB student, when you're focusing on representation, focus on what is being shown. When you're focusing on perspective, try and analyze and evaluate whose story is being prioritized. When we are looking at culture, which values are being emphasized? And when we are talking about identity, we want to see who becomes the central figure here. That is how the idea of concepts will become clearer to you. If you saw only one of these images, what would you think? Who do you think is the most important person or whose day was important? Applying these IB concepts show how meaning is constructed through choices. I hope this video gives you clarity to look at one event from different perspectives and how concepts in the IB give you clarity to do that in a comprehensive manner. Thank you.